Hello, thank you for staying until the end. I know it's late. I will start with my presentation. So it is a true pleasure to meet you. If I haven't met you last year, this is the second time that GAPHS is at this prestigious real estate expo. So a little bit about me. I'm the master home stager and also the president of GAPHS, the Global Association of Professional Stagers. I also have founded a real estate agency, and it's the only one in whole Italy who uses home staging on every single listing. So, how many of you have heard about home staging? One or two? Okay. So you might think that this is a relatively new marketing tool, but if you look at it, it was born 54 years ago. And this is why, with only 2 positive answers, we do consider Greece as emerging market. And I have purposely left the Greece without the reference of the time, which falls exactly into 2025, when thanks to the events like this, the Premium Real Estate Expo, we had the opportunity to bring home staging for the first time in the Greek market. So as you see, there is a huge difference from when did it start and got established in the United States and how further did it come. So before we speak why we shouldn't leave money on the table, for all of you who don't or maybe are not familiar with home staging concept, what is it really? So in a modern real estate, this is considered a marketing tool. And it is a huge marketing tool if you use it, because it is a differentiating factors. Like, think about how your properties, your listings would look like with staged properties. It is also a differentiating factor for you from the competitors. And the purpose of staging homes is to give them a better appeal. And so that's why they sell faster and they sell at better conditions. And of course, better conditions means more money for everyone. Was it me? Okay. So besides being a marketing tool, it is also a communication tool. Because think about empty villas, empty apartments. What does empty describes? While a well-prepared, a professionally staged property gives a totally different idea and also the lifestyle that it speaks about to potential buyers. So it creates an emotional connection and, of course, shows the value. So that purchasing price is most likely to be accepted. For those who are not familiar, in the western part of the Europe where staging is constantly used, many commit the mistakes of actually staging difficult listings. But every property should be staged, and it doesn't matter of the condition, if it needs renovation, if it's renovated, if it's unfurnished or occupied. Occupied, we mean that sellers are living in the house with their kids and their animals and their furniture. So luxury or standard market, we consider this as a potentially one of the most influential marketing tools to be used nowadays. So what are the benefits for the agents? Once again, think about your vitrina, think about your website, think about how would you look on the portals, and think about your branding image. You will also have the marketing advantage from your competitors because you could sell yourself like someone that is working completely in a different manner. And this is the perfect time to start adopting home staging as a useful marketing tool, because as of today, you won't have almost no competitors. when you stage properties and you sell them faster and you sell them at a better rate, what happens is that you are not only achieving, the goal of the faster transaction, but also you're going to have happier clients who are going to be even more happy to then refer you. And we all know that more referrals means more listings. The benefits for homeowners are actually standing out in the market. With so many little properties being professionally, staged and prepared, think about your Greek portals. It is immediately going to stand out of the competition because in 99% of the cases, every other listing here in Greece will be either taken 20 pictures with the iPhone, not professionally, and in 99% as of today, because we have the first and the only home staging company established here in Greece, that 1% definitely is going to stand out. Faster sale means, of course, as mentioned earlier, that you're going to get the turnout and the revenue faster in your pockets, but most of all, who is gaining more out of this sale transaction? The homeowner, and of course, at a higher price. So staging actually comes with a measurable value. You don't know if you're using, for example, virtual tours, like, for example, Matterport. If you use Matterport and you invest in those tools, you don't know if it's actually going to bring you a benefit, but staging does, because there is also a return on staging investment. And I am extremely thankful as the president of the Global Association that the National Association of Realtors, the long-lasting, the most important, and the biggest one also, not only in the US, but also internationally, it has been at least 6 years that they're dedicating, through their research group, a whole profile of home staging. So if you go on their website, you can download the 2025 report and see how your colleagues are actually doing in the market, and especially in the States. So the most common question that we receive all the time is, how much does it cost to stage a property? And if you think it as a cost, it will always be in your head as such. But it's actually an investment, not only in your own company, in your own business, in your own broker's agency, towards your clients, but you're investing also in your personal branding, and most of all, obtaining measurable results. So before we kick in the numbers, I had to say that running a global association and living and working in Rome does not give me the opportunity to know everything about each market here in Europe. So I went online, and I hope that the numbers that I'm gonna read out to you are more or less correct. So when I asked the artificial intelligence that is helping us today with my translation, the response about the Greek market was this: the funny thing about Greece, it's that it's simultaneously a hot and a slow market. Properties move fast, except for those ones that don't, which sounds like a riddle. But broadly speaking, here's the real picture. Well-priced residential properties in desirable areas: Athens Riviera, Central Athens, Thessaloniki, islands with foreign demand, renovated apartments, often sell in about 2 to 5 months. Average residential properties nationwide are more realistically sitting around 6 to 12 months on the market. And here's the interesting part. Overpriced listing can remain online for years. And Greece has a lot of this. You literally see the same apartment haunting Spithogathos like a Mediterranean ghost. And while there's no official nationwide days on the market, The database in Greece, but currently market analysis and agents' estimates, meaning yours, converge around those numbers. So I also ask about the average price, because that is the only way that we can measure investments in home staging. The answer was the most credible recent estimate placed the average negotiation discount around between 3 to 8% below the asking price. In premium micro markets or turnkey renovated properties, sales sometimes happen at the asking price or even slightly higher. On the other hand, unrealistic listings can end up closing 15 to 30% below original asking, especially after being forced to sit on the market for such a long time. Many owners list aspirational prices that they never truly expect to achieve. So the discount can look dramatic as 30%. So, Greek residential prices rose 7 to 8% in 25, according to the Bank of Greece. Short-term rental-friendly properties and lifestyle coastal markets is what the buyers are looking to buy. And honestly, the answer of the artificial intelligence was, the market right now rewards two things almost brutally: realistic pricing and property presentation. Because beautifully staged apartment priced correctly can disappear in weeks, while the mediocre homes for sale priced from pure owner ego can become part of the local architecture. So I thought that AI was even being funny. So how much money do we leave on the table? According to the average and to the statistics that I pulled out, I've taken into consideration what can be a traditional 300,000 euro property. And anywhere between 2 to 5 or 6 to 12 months, I've taken 6 months as an example. So if we apply, and even there, I just hit the middle, 5%, the average discount price, if we sit on the market for 6 months, would be 15,000. So let's think about how many monthly recurring costs are actually the owners having. So I've estimated 700 euros between an eventual monthly mortgage and monthly bills, anything that they have to keep paying while selling the property, which would bring us to a price drop of 20,000 euros on a 300K. The reason why I've placed staging investment in a 3K is because while there is no in the world an official menu where you can standardize, every request, because every home is so unique and so different, and so the market and so the demand for it. So the only rule worldwide that has been established that the staging investment should be around 1% of the value of the property. And when we move into the luxury, you will see how that percentage can actually change. So do you think that it's more clever and intelligent to invest 3,000 euros in staging, or to lose 20,000 euros just in the price drop? And I'll tell you, just because this is an emerging market and owners did not still understand the value of home staging, most likely they're not going to say, yes, I will invest 3,000 euros in order to sell faster, even if you tell them that they're going to drop the price by 20,000. And this is because they play with monopoly money. Every price drop is a virtual loss of money. But I'm also sure that if you had the homeowner in front of you and he had 3,000 euros in one pocket and 20,000 in another one, which one would he will accept to give you? Of course, the less. So if we, real estate agents, developers, constructors, and investors, are not the first one to believe in this marketing tool and somehow even to invest, Remember that I said that I founded a real estate company in Rome that invests in every staging. We invest tons and tons of euros on a daily, monthly, weekly, yearly basis, and it's been 7 years now. But the benefits that we have received over these 7 years is really beyond any expectations. So there are two ways of selling staging. You either make sure that this investment is absorbed by the owner, and it's also most likely the best way to do it because you have your own commission and the owners get the most out of the sale. But on the other hand, if you want to have that differentiating factor, if you want to differentiate yourself among the competitors, if you want to step up the game and be part of this modern real estate, investing in staging is definitely gonna bring you not only revenue, but also prestige. So I didn't calculate what would be your loss on commission. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's around 2%, the standard here in Greece to ask from the owner. Okay, and do you represent also the buyer? Sometimes, okay. So I think that 20,000 euro price drop on a 300K property is around 7.5%. So whatever is your 2% commission, you're losing that 7 to 10% on it. We're gonna move to a 1 million property. I've calculated that a luxury property is gonna sit longer on the market because the niche of the buyers is definitely going to be smaller. And so what is the cost of sitting unsold for 8 months? If we apply the highest average discount, which would be 8%, the seller is instantly losing that monopoly money because he doesn't have it sitting in his pockets. So it's easy to price adjust and say, okay, just drop it. What is 80,000 euros? I've also calculated higher, of course, running costs, especially if you have a luxury villa and you need to take care of the inside and outside and extraordinary and ordinary maintenance. So losing 100,000 euros is a lot of money. And I think while the numbers are slightly higher here, first of all, you will see that it does not start at that 1% of the asking price. It starts from the 0.75, okay? And that's why we're going into 7.5K. But we could go all the way to 20K. And if you want to have, I don't know, how many of you are doing open house as part of your selling? Do you do open house? Okay, you. Thank you, sir. So the Americans, when they do open houses on luxury multi-million-dollar listings, not only they invest in staging, but what they do is they bring luxury cars and they bring catering and they bring, you know, all sorts of related companies that they're nurturing that aspirational lifestyle. And not necessarily these numbers are calculated based only on the price of the property, but definitely, Julia, correct me if I'm wrong, staging a property in Athens is going to be less expensive than having to stage a property, for example, on the island. Like, we know this, islands are more expensive. So now let's see how much are you leaving on the table. And I'm gonna start in the reverse mode from 1 million. What would you say that it's the average of listings that you have simultaneously? Like, can I ask you, sir, how many do you have right now? 3, 5, 1, 2, more? Anybody who wants to answer? Okay, this is a shy audience, so I'd say, what happens if you have 10 listings? So you have 10 properties simultaneously to take care of. 10 clients, okay? If you sit unsold for 8 months, how much are your marketing expenses? And I left the question marks because I don't know your numbers. I don't, of course, know how much are you investing. You can invest this little or this much, and it depends of your business model. what are your daily, weekly, and monthly expenses to running the business, to put, the fuel in your car? How much is your office rental and anything that it's entailed with running a business? And most of all, how much is your time worth? What is the right worth that you attribute to 1 hour of your working time? Is it 50 euro? Is it 1,000 euro? So start multiplying how many times you're gonna go, driving to the property, having to deal with clients, answering their phone calls, their emails. What is, the marketing goals that you're willing to achieve? And if you're doing this simultaneously for 5 or 10 properties, how much money is really left on the table rather than investing in staging? And of course, what happens to your commission? Because I guess that as real estate agents, we get paid where the job is done. So the sooner you sell, and this is like, in my opinion, really obvious, that the sooner we sell, the sooner we're gonna hit that commission. And the sooner we close it, the sooner we can move, to other acquisitions and other properties. So back to the 300K, again, the same values, and I'm 100% positive that your costs are way higher than 3,000 euros calculated in 6 months. Because otherwise your running costs, if this is not the case, are less than 500 euros per month. And again, if we now take some of the most important things that we have, which is time. Nowadays, time is the most important. And then we take into the consideration money and the energy that we're investing into every relation and every property that we have to put for sale. Multiply that for all the listings that you might have throughout the year. What is the loss calculated, not anymore on a monthly basis per property, but like calculated on a yearly level? And as I was telling you earlier, this is us. If you want to go on our website, it's up there, left corner. This is what we used to call it a winner approach. It's been 2 years that we're calling it money maker approach, because in 2020, we have decided, to start using home staging on every single listing. If you go online, you will see luxury properties, small apartments, even apartments that they're like falling into pieces of 100,000 euros only. We do our best to make sure that these properties are presented at the best of their opportunities, because it's all about showcasing the value. And as you see, this is the 2025 data that we have elaborated. So when we say 93% of sold listings, is because when the year got across to 2026, not expired listings of properties that have not sold yet have been brought into the calculation. So 60 days are average time to sell a house. Record year for revenue 2025. We have, our revenue has gone by 10 times in the past 3 years. And it might be difficult really to comprehend, but this is mainly because of home staging. We do not invest €1 in Google Ads. We don't invest €1 in marketing. We only have the website. We only have social media, of course. And 100% of our listings, they come from the word of mouth, referrals. Because we're not only taking care of the homes for sale, we take care of the spaces that somebody used to live and that somebody most of all needs to buy and needs to find attractive. And that asking price needs to be perceived. I'm sorry that I haven't brought in another very important aspect. So national average days in Italy to sell a property is 180 days. We sell 100% of residential listings in 60 days. in which almost 20% sells over the price. And while the national average discount is 11%, our personal as agency has dropped to 1.78. This mainly means that whatever we ask for those properties is almost 100% what we get. So it's my invitation to learn more about home staging. We have the booth. Guys, if you stand up so I can introduce you to the crowd. If you want to learn more about home staging, our desk is just behind, if you have time today, otherwise tomorrow. So you've seen the numbers. I hope you've been impressed. And if you want to learn more, I'll be your trainer in the next class, which is on June 16th. If you use the special code, which was designated for you guys for attending the Premium Real Estate Expo, I'll be glad to see you in class. There are QR codes, if you don't take them now, directly at our booth. And if you want to stay in touch, that's my email address. You can learn more about the association. I hope you have enjoyed. And thank you for staying until the end. Bye.